Success is only truly meaningful and worth enjoying when you feel it is your own achievement. Michelle Obama. In every person's life, everyone has longed to reach the peak of success. We desire to be recognized, admired, and to enjoy the moments when all our efforts crystallize into sweet fruits. But there is a profound truth that not everyone realizes. The true value of success lies neither in outward glamour nor in the praise of others, but in the sense of peace and pride of knowing we used our own hands, will, and determination to create it. A mountain loses its majesty to someone flown to the summit by helicopter. Only those who have trudged through rugged paths, endured the cold mountain winds, the fatigue in their legs, and the moments of wanting to give up can truly appreciate the beauty of the view from the peak. Success is much the same. What makes victory precious is not where we stand, but the journey we traveled to get there. Some are handed everything: wealth, opportunity, or fame. They may possess what others dream of, but without going through struggle and growth, those things can feel like expensive decorations, beautiful but soulless. For true joy does not come from possession, but from the realization, I have pushed past my limits to achieve this. We do not just want the reward. We want to feel we deserve it. A dollar earned through hours of hard work is often cherished far more than a gift easily given. A home built from years of saving and striving will carry the warmth of sacrifices, dreams, and days of relentless forward movement. It is the hardships, failures, and challenges that serve as quiet teachers, giving depth to the human soul. Every time we fall and rise again, we do not just move closer to our goal. We also awaken the dormant strength within us. Perseverance tempers courage, failure teaches wisdom, and days of quiet effort shape a more mature person. Do not be envious of others' rapid success, nor discouraged if your path is longer and more thorny. A great tree does not grow overnight. It needs time to sink its roots deep into the earth and endure storms, so that one day it may stretch its strong branches toward the sky. The same goes for us. The trials we face today may well be the foundation for a more solid tomorrow. Remember, the ultimate goal of success is not merely to achieve a title, wealth, or a position in society. The greatest gift of that journey is the transformation within you. When you look back at the path traveled and can smile and say, I did not give up. I fought with everything I had. That is when success is truly complete. What makes a victory beautiful is not the spotlight the world sees, but the sweat, the long nights of perseverance, and the silent battles known only to you. Success built on your own efforts brings not just temporary joy, but becomes a part of your character, a permanent imprint on your soul, and proof that one can transcend oneself to become a better version. It is common sense to take a method and try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another. But above all, try something. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Life is a journey full of twists and turns where no one can see the entire path ahead. People often spend too much time searching for a perfect plan, a certain choice, or a path completely free of risk. We stand before the door of opportunity, hesitating too long over whether there is light or darkness, success or failure behind it, only to end up missing the chance to enter. But the profound truth of life is that no path automatically appears for those who only wait. Only those who dare to walk can discover the right direction. Failure is not the end of a journey. It is merely a comma in the book of life. Every time a method does not bring the expected result, it does not mean you lack capability. It simply means you have discovered a way that does not work. When an explorer meets a blocked path, they do not sit down and curse fate. They turn back, consult the map, choose another route, and keep moving toward the horizon. This adjustment is an expression of wisdom, and the persistence to keep walking is an expression of courage. We fear being judged, wasting time, and seeing our efforts go to waste. But life's paradox is that what costs us the most time is not trying and failing, but the years spent standing still out of fear of starting. A seed that fears burying itself in the darkness of the earth will never become a tree that reaches up to greet the sun. Growth always requires a phase of uncertainty, of trials, and of taking the wrong direction. Those who make a difference in this world are not those who have never failed. They are those humble enough to admit their chosen method might be wrong, and brave enough to change without feeling ashamed. A swollen ego makes people cling to wrong choices just to prove they are not wrong, whereas true wisdom lies in the ability to learn and adapt. Every failure carries a message. It is like a strict teacher who offers no praise but gives lessons that easy success can never provide. You may lose a plan, some time, or a minor opportunity, but in return, you gain experience, maturity, and a deeper perspective. The stumbling blocks of today can become the stepping stones for tomorrow's success. The most regrettable thing in life is not that you tried and failed. The greatest regret is when, years later, you look back and ask, what if I had been brave enough to start? Such unanswered questions are often far heavier than the wounds of a single failure. When facing a dream, an opportunity, or a change, do not wait for perfect conditions. Perfection is often just an illusion that causes people to delay action. Prepare as best as you can, then step forward with all your courage. If that path does not lead to where you want, calmly turn back and choose another. Life always favors those who dare to try. Every step, right or wrong, helps us better understand ourselves and the world around us. A closed door teaches you how to find another key, and a dead end points you to a new turn. And sometimes, success does not come from choosing the right path on the first try, but from never giving up the search for your way. Mistakes are almost always of a sacred nature. Never try to correct them. On the contrary, rationalize them, understand them thoroughly. Salvador Dali. Humans spend their whole lives seeking correctness. We are taught to avoid failure, make perfect decisions, and try not to make mistakes. Thus, whenever we fall, many view mistakes as a stain to be hidden, a page to be torn out of the book of life. But perhaps we have misunderstood the nature of mistakes. A mistake is not an enemy that comes to destroy you. Sometimes it is a strict teacher that awakens a sleeping wisdom within you. Saying mistakes are sacred does not mean we praise carelessness or repeat bad choices. The deeper meaning is that each mistake carries a valuable message about ourselves, our perceptual limits, and what we do not yet understand. A crack in a stone not only shows where it was damaged, but also reveals its inner structure. Similarly, failures or wrong decisions give us a chance to see the fears, haste, pride, or false beliefs quietly ruling our lives. The most painful part of a mistake is often not its consequence, but the shame and self-judgment we inflict on ourselves. We try to quickly fix it, erase its traces, or blame ourselves with regretful questions like, if only I had made a different choice back then. Yet the past is a door that opens only one way. You cannot go back to change what happened, but you can completely change the person standing in the present by understanding the root causes of the past. A wise person does not rush to cover a mistake with a fresh coat of paint to make it look better. They pause, observing it, like a scientist studying a strange phenomenon. They ask difficult questions. Why did I act that way? What fear drove that decision? What in my thinking needs to change? This deep self-reflection is what turns a failure into a treasure trove of wisdom. Human growth is rarely forged in days when everything runs smoothly. A sword must go through hot fire and constant hammering to become sharp. A diamond must endure immense pressure, deep underground, for millions of years to shine. The human soul is no different. Mistakes, wrong turns, and moments we realize we are not good enough provide the necessary pressure to build depth of character. What sets a person apart is not a flawless life, but the ability to converse with their own scars. The weak see mistakes as evidence of failure. The mature see them as part of the learning process. A person who has never made a mistake may be someone who has never stepped out of their comfort zone, challenged limits, or truly lived with courage. When you make a mistake, do not rush to hate it or bury it in memory. Sit with it as you would with an old teacher, listening to the lesson it wants to impart. Every mistake bears a seed of enlightenment. If you are patient enough to understand it, that seed will sprout into wisdom. Life does not require us to be perfect beings who never falter. What life expects from us is the ability to turn what seems like absolute darkness into a guiding light. A deeply understood mistake is no longer a wound of the past. It becomes a part of our wisdom, a vital chapter in the journey to becoming a stronger and more awakened version of ourselves. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Antoine de Saint-Exupery. There is a profound difference between forcing someone to do a job and making them truly yearn to do it. Orders can make hands move, but only a dream can awaken the heart. A person can work out of duty, coercion, or fear, but they can only create extraordinary things when a fire of meaning and aspiration burns within them. Building a ship is not merely about planks of wood, hammers, or assigning tasks. It is a profound metaphor for the art of leadership, education, and understanding people. An ordinary leader only sees tasks to be done. They plan, delegate, and control every step. But a great leader looks far beyond that. They plant in people's minds the image of a vast ocean where lies unexplored horizons, free winds, and new lands waiting to be stepped upon. Humans are not machines that operate solely on pre-programmed instructions. Within each of us lies a deeper need to be trusted, inspired, and to feel that what we do has great meaning. When a person understands why they must walk, they will find their own way through the hardest roads. Feet may grow weary from walking far, but a purposeful soul will always find a reason to keep going. Imagine two people carving identical logs under a harsh sun. The first thinks he is only doing heavy labor to earn a living. Each hammer blow is a burden to him. The second knows that every piece of wood he touches is slowly shaping a ship that will cross vast oceans and discover unknown lands. Their work may be the same, but the worlds in their minds are entirely different. One is dragged by duty, the other is led by a dream. That is the power of vision. A clear vision can turn sacrifice into pride, and hard days into necessary preparations for something greater. Those who achieved great things in history were not always those with the most resources, but often those with a fierce belief in the shore they wished to reach. External motivators, like money, praise, or control, can push people for a limited time, but the most powerful and lasting energy comes from within, from curiosity, passion, and the feeling that one's life is moving towards something meaningful. Just as a ship cannot sail merely because it is fully built, a person cannot reach their full potential without the wind of aspiration in their soul. If you want to lead a group, raise a child, build a business, or change your own life, do not start with a to-do list. Start with a picture vast enough to make the heart stir. Show them the sky ahead, the water glistening in the sun, and the horizons waiting to be explored. Hands can build a ship, but only dreaming souls can make it set sail across great waves. A work created by force stops when the order ends, but a journey started by desire continues toward an endless ocean of unawakened possibilities. You cannot tailor-make the situations in life, but you can tailor-make the attitudes to fit those situations. Zig Zagler. Life is like a vast ocean with constantly changing waves. There are days when the sea is calm, the sun shines bright, and our boat glides smoothly over the water. But there are also days when storms suddenly hit, winds roar, and fierce waves test the strength of the steersman. Crucially, we cannot command the ocean to be always peaceful, nor the sky to remain forever blue. The only thing within our power is how we adjust the sails and hold steady the wheel amid life's turbulence. People often waste too much energy fighting things beyond their control. We get angry at unexpected events, hurt by others' words, and disappointed when reality does not match our expectations. We try to change the past, expect others to behave as we wish, or hope that life will always be easy. Yet the more we try to control what is not ours, the more tired and helpless we feel. True strength does not lie in changing the world around us to suit our wishes, but in mastering the world within ourselves. A rainfall can ruin the plans of two people. The first looks up in irritation, viewing the rain as an enemy that stole his joy. The second sees it as an opportunity to rest, reflect, or enjoy the peace of falling raindrops. Same circumstance, but two different attitudes create two entirely different experiences. The human mind is like a pane of glass through which we view the world. When the glass is covered in negativity, fear, and resentment, everything around us turns bleak. But when the glass is wiped clean with calm, gratitude, and acceptance, even difficult situations can hold valuable lessons. We cannot always choose what happens to us, but we always have the choice of what meaning we assign to it. The most resilient people are not those who have never suffered. They are those who walked through stormy days, but did not allow the storms to take over their souls. A tree on a cliff cannot ask the wind to stop blowing, but it can sink its roots deeper into the ground. It is those strong winds that make its roots tougher. The same is true for us. The trials we meet are sometimes the very opportunities to discover the endurance, patience, and courage we never knew we possessed. The beauty of a positive attitude is not about denying pain or pretending everything is perfect. It is the ability to look directly at hardship, accept reality, and still decide to keep moving forward. A strong person can shed tears in failure and feel hurt by loss, but they do not allow those emotions to become a prison locking up their future. When we understand that not every door can be forced open, we learn the art of choosing the right key. Some things must be changed through action, while others must be overcome through acceptance and a change in perspective. True maturity begins the moment we stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this? And how will I respond?" Do not waste your life fighting winds you cannot control. Learn to adjust your own sails, for in the long journey of life, it is not the one with the calmest sea who goes furthest, but the one who knows how to steer their ship through every storm. Attitude is the quiet power that helps us turn obstacles into lessons, failures into growth, and the darkest days into the beginning of a new dawn. Success doesn't come to you. You've got to go to it. Marva Collins. In this world, many spend their whole lives waiting for a perfect moment. They wait for opportunities, for favorable conditions, or for someone to recognize their talent and hand them a doorway to success. Yet time quietly slips away like water that never flows backward, and unacted upon dreams fade into deep regrets of memory. A simple yet powerful truth is that success has no legs to seek anyone out. It is we who must stand up, step out of comfort, and seek what we desire. Life is like a vast forest full of unexplored paths. Those who only stand outside, looking in, will forever wonder what wonders lie inside that forest. They might spend hours imagining the treasure hidden behind the trees, but the treasure will never move itself to their doorstep. Only those who dare enter the forest, accept the scratches on their feet, cross dark paths, and keep walking without seeing the end, have a chance at finding precious things. We are often bound by a dangerous illusion that one day, everything will just get better. We tell ourselves that when we have more time, more money, more confidence, or more support, we will start pursuing what we want. But the paradox is, confidence often comes after we act. Experience only comes when we start, and opportunities usually open up to those in motion, not those waiting still. No blacksmith creates a sharp sword merely by gazing at a raw block of iron. He must put it in the fire, strike it with heavy hammer blows, accept the flying sparks, and repeat this process over and over. The same goes for us. Talent is only the raw material, while action and persistence are the fire that refines potential into achievement. The greatest abilities within you will forever sleep if you lack the courage to awaken them with your very first steps. Success is not a gift handed to the luckiest, nor a reward reserved for those born in perfect circumstances. It is like a high mountain waiting to be conquered. Some sit at the foot of the mountain, complaining that it is too high, the path is too steep, and the weather is too harsh. But others begin taking small steps, advancing a little bit each day. In the end, it is those persistent steps that bring them to where those who only think can never reach. The most important thing on the journey to success is not always knowing exactly where you are going. Many successful people started with ambiguity, mistakes, and countless failures. What made the difference is that they did not let fear stop them from taking action. They understand that a ship is not built to stay anchored in harbor forever. Though the ocean has storms, big waves, and unknown waters, only by setting sail can a ship discover its true capabilities. Each day that passes is an opportunity to get closer to the version of yourself you want to become. A book will not write itself. A healthy body will not just appear, and a dream career will not build itself. Everything starts with small actions taken consistently. A page read, a skill practiced, a brave decision made at the right moment. If you stand today before an unfinished dream, do do not keep asking when success will find you. Ask yourself, how many steps have I taken to go look for success? For the distance between a dream and an achievement is not measured by wishes, but by action. The door of opportunity might not open on its own, but persistent hands can always find its key. Life does not grant its greatest rewards to those who only wait for a miracle. It smiles on those who dare to walk in uncertainty, confront hardship, and keep moving forward. Success is not a guest that knocks on your door on a random day. It is a land on the horizon that you must resolve to set out and find. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's willingness to take risks and try new things. Gary Vaynerchuk. A human life is not measured by the years we exist, but defined by the experiences we dare to embrace, the limits we dare to cross, and the new horizons we have the courage to explore. Some live in a very small space, even though the world outside is infinitely vast, not because they lack opportunity, but because of invisible walls built from fear, self-doubt, and over-familiarity with comfort zones. Humans seek safety because it is a natural instinct. We prefer the familiar, roads with predictable outcomes, and choices that do not hold too much uncertainty. A boat permanently anchored in port will not face wild waves or storms, but it will also never know the beauty of the open ocean. Similarly, a life centered solely on certainty might help us avoid a few failures, but it also robs us of opportunities to grow, learn, and discover dormant abilities within. Every time we dare to try something new, be it learning a skill, starting a job, chasing a dream, or simply changing an old habit, we open another door in the house of our life. At first, that door might lead to a dark room of uncertainty, filled with anxieties, failures, and unanswered questions. But entering those unexplored rooms is precisely what helps us find treasures we would never see if we just stood still in familiar places. The fear of risk often leads people to trade away great possibilities for temporary safety. We fear failure, rejection, judgment, and facing things out of our control. But the paradox of growth is, what hurts us most in the long run is usually not our failures, but the regret over things we did not dare to try. Questions like, what if I had been braver back then, can echo in our minds for years. A seed can only become a giant tree when it trades the safety of its hard shell. It must crack open, bury itself in the dark soil, and face painful changes before it can rise to greet the sun. Any transformation requires a certain sacrifice. To grow, we must be ready to let go of our old self. To go further, we must accept leaving the place we know too well. However, taking risks does not mean acting blindly or rushing into danger without thought. Real courage is seeing the fear, recognizing the potential hardships, and choosing to step forward with preparation, wisdom, and faith. The brave person is not one who lacks fear, but one who realizes there is something more valuable than fear itself. Every time we cross a small limit, we send a powerful message to our brain. I can adapt and grow. Each new experience is like a brick, building up our confidence. Not easy victories, but daring to face uncertainty is what builds strong resilience against life's fluctuations. Look back at the most significant moments in your life. More than likely, they were not the days spent comfortably doing the same familiar things. They were the days you made a bold decision, said yes to a new journey, accepted a heart-racing challenge, and walked even when you could not see the full path ahead. Life is like an unfinished map. Every courageous choice is a stroke that expands its boundaries. If you always choose the old paths, your world will shrink, confined to what you already know. But when you dare to explore, fail, learn, and change, life opens up new lands you never previously imagined. Do not let fear be the gatekeeper that keeps you from greater possibilities. Remember that the finest ships are not made to stay in harbor. Wings are not meant to remain folded, and humans are not born to exist solely within self-imposed limits. How vast your life becomes depends on whether you have the courage to step through the door of uncertainty and welcome the new. A life spent making mistakes is not only more honorable, but more useful than a life spent doing nothing. George Bernhard Shaw. People often spend a great deal of time seeking perfection. We want to make precise decisions, walk error-free paths, and hope our lives will not leave a single scratch. That very fear of failure is what makes so many choose to stand still in comfort zones, afraid to start a new journey, express a different idea, or pursue the deepest dreams in their hearts. Yet here is life's paradox. One can avoid many mistakes by doing nothing, but in doing so, they give up the chance to grow, explore, and truly live. A perfect blank sheet of paper has no ink on it, but it also tells no story. A book with crumpled pages, words rewritten, and paragraphs crossed out contains the writer's journey of thought, search, and creation. Human life is much the same. Falls, wrong turns, and failures are not evidence of weakness. They are marks, showing we dared step beyond the familiar to experience this vast world. We worry others will see our flaws, fear being mocked in failure, and dread that a single mistake will define who we are. Yet, the history of all growth is written in trial and error. A child cannot learn to walk without falling first. An artist cannot create a masterpiece without first producing clumsy works. An explorer cannot find new lands if they only stand on the shore, fearing great waves. The scariest thing is not failure, but a life with no story to tell. A person who passes through years without trying anything new, chasing a heart-stirring dream, or taking a risk for what they believe in, might stay safe, but they risk losing the experiences that make life rich. Absolute quiet is sometimes not the sign of a perfect life, but the sign of an unchallenged one. Mistakes have special value because they bring lessons that easy success rarely offers. A setback at work can teach us patience and adaptability. A wrong decision in relationships can help us understand ourselves better and learn to love more maturely. Taking the wrong road might cost us time, but it sometimes reveals sights the right road never would. However, cherishing mistakes does not mean seeking failure or repeating old errors. The value of a mistake lies in the ability to turn it into wisdom. A mature person is not one who has never fallen, but one who picks up the shards of failure to build a better version of themselves. Imagine someone standing before the sea with a beautiful boat, but never daring to leave the dock for fear of storms. As years pass, the boat remains pristine without a scratch. Yet it has never tasted the ocean, felt the wind's power, or discovered a new horizon. Meanwhile, another boat, scarred from tough voyages, carries countless stories of lands visited. Humans are much like those boats. An error-free life might look perfect from the outside, but it may be a life that was never fully lived. Conversely, a life full of effort, trials, and failures is one rich in experience, wisdom, and meaning. Do not be too afraid of falling on the road ahead. Fear letting fear keep you in one place where there is no failure but also no discovery. For after all, a person's value is not measured by how many times they never erred, but by how many times they stood up after mistakes and kept moving forward. A life with the scars of effort is always more beautiful than a perfect life that never fought. For looking back, what makes us proudest is not that we never fell, but that we walked bravely, dared to live, and turned each mistake into a step, bringing us closer to maturity. Working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion. Simon Sinek. People can endure immense pressure when their hearts understand why they must continue. The same long hours, the same sweat, sleepless nights, and constant challenges can feel entirely different to different people. One feels each day like carrying an invisible burden, while another feels each difficulty brings them closer to their dream. This difference is not in how hard the work is, but in the relationship between the person and what they are dedicating themselves to. When one spends most of their time and energy pursuing what holds no true meaning to them, their soul grows weary. They wake up each morning feeling they must fulfill an obligation rather than start a journey. Work becomes like pulling a heavy cart down a long road with no visible destination. Each step drains strength, and even as they move forward, they feel empty because the achievements do not touch the values deep in their heart. Stress does not just come from a heavy workload. It often stems from a disconnect between action and meaning. A person can sit in a luxurious office with a dream salary, yet feel every day like they are trading away their lifespan for a goal they did not truly choose. Like a healthy bird locked in a golden cage, the exterior may glitter, but the urge to fly still beats quietly in its soul. Conversely, when we do what we love, our inner energy is awakened. This does not mean the path of passion is always easy or free of exhausting days. A painter still gets stuck before a blank canvas. An athlete still endures painful training, and a creator still faces long nights of self-doubt. But the difference is, they know these difficulties are the price of building what they cherish, not a meaningless burden. When we see our work as an expression of personal values, dreams, and beliefs, effort ceases to be a battle against ourselves. It becomes a conversation between present and future, between who we are today and the better version we are striving to create. Look at a gardener tending to a beloved garden under a blazing sun. They patiently dig, sow seeds, water, and prune each leaf. To an outsider, it might look like tedious, repetitive labor, but to the gardener, every drop of sweat is a promise to the flowers that will bloom tomorrow. It is love for the final result that turns toil into joy. One of life's greatest tragedies is not working too much, but spending years climbing a ladder only to find it leaning against the wrong wall. Success in a field meaningless to the soul might bring others admiration, but it rarely brings fulfillment from within. Yet, pursuing passion does not mean only doing what is comfortable or quitting responsibilities when it gets hard. True passion always comes with discipline, persistence, and the ability to accept monotonous periods. A fire that wishes to burn long must be fed with the fuel of daily practice. Great dreams are not built on fleeting inspiration, but on thousands of hours of quiet effort. Spend time listening to yourself and ask, what truly makes my heart wake up every morning? For life is too short to spend all our energy on what drains the soul. When you find a purpose worth dedicating yourself to, the work will still have difficulties and tired days, but beneath it all lies a quiet current of joy and meaning. The difference between stress and passion is not the hours worked or the scale of the challenges faced. The difference lies in the answer to a simple question. Is what I am sacrificing for today truly what my heart desires? When the answer is yes, sweat is no longer just a sign of fatigue, but proof of a life lived with all love, enthusiasm, and purpose. Change your thoughts, and you change your world. Norman Vincent Peale. We all live in the same world, see the same sun rise each morning, and face life's trials, losses, and joys. Yet, strangely, two people standing side by side can perceive two entirely different worlds. One sees in the rain an annoyance and ruined plans. The other feels the gentleness of nature and an opportunity to slow down and listen to themselves. The rain does not change, the circumstance does not change, but the inner world of each person creates two different realities. Thoughts are like the glasses we wear to observe life. If those glasses are covered in the dust of pessimism, fear, and self-imposed limits, every opportunity looks like an obstacle, every failure like a sentence, and every difficulty like an insurmountable wall. But when we wipe the glasses clean with faith, positivity, and an open mind, the very roads once seen as dead ends can become pathways to growth. People often try to change external circumstances before changing themselves. We think that if we had a better job, more money, perfect relationships, or a favorable environment, we would be happy. But so often, even when circumstances change, dissatisfaction lingers because its roots lie in how we view life. A soul that always carries a sense of lack will find it hard to feel abundance, even when possessing much. Conversely, an appreciative and learning mind can find value even in imperfect circumstances. We do not only react to reality, but also to how we interpret that reality. A piece of feedback can become an insult to someone who always carries insecurity. But to someone with a growth mindset, it can be a gift that helps them improve. A failure can be the end of the road for someone who gives up. But for someone who perseveres, it is merely a lesson on the path to success. The mind is like a garden. Every thought is a seed sown in the soil of consciousness. If you constantly sow seeds of doubt, resentment, and fear, that garden will be overgrown with weeds, preventing the flowers of joy and hope from growing. But if you tend to the garden with positive thoughts, gratitude, curiosity, and a learning spirit, it will gradually become a place full of life where new possibilities can sprout. This does not mean we must deny hardships or delude ourselves that everything is always fine. A proper mindset is not about viewing the world through rose-colored glasses, but the ability to face the darkness while still believing that you can find the light. Those with a strong mindset still feel pain, still have days of disappointment and disorientation, but they do not allow those moments to define their entire life. Great changes in life often begin with very small shifts in thinking. Someone who once thought, "I can't do it," begins to replace it with, "I will learn how to do it." Someone who once viewed challenges as threats begins to see in them opportunities to grow. Someone who once waited for the perfect circumstances begins to act with what they have. It is those small shifts in the mind that gradually change actions, habits, character, and ultimately, a person's destiny. Life is like a giant mirror. It does not always reflect what we wish for, but often mirrors how we approach it. When you approach life with resentment, you easily see things that disappoint you. When you approach it with curiosity and courage, you will discover opportunities you once overlooked. If you want to change the world around you, start with the world inside yourself. You cannot always control the offshore winds, but you can adjust the sails of your soul. A new thought can create a new decision. A new decision can create a new path, and a new path can lead you to a life you never previously imagined. The world we live in is built not only by what happens outside, but also by how we choose to perceive and react to those events. When you change your thoughts, you do not just change your perspective, you open the door to changing your entire life.